The three ways to challenge an ERISA denial or termination if you are a telecommunicating worker. Now, obviously telecommuting was helpful for many of my disabled clients because it either allowed them to hide their disability from their employer and work around their disability, or subsequently it allowed them to keep their jobs if they were disabled and working at reduced hours within their restrictions and limitations. But what's happening is that employers are demanding that employees return to work. And that's a problem if you're at the any occupation stage of a disability claim. Now, why is that? Because at the any occupation stage of a disability claim, the standard is whether or not you're able to engage in any other occupation and do the material and substantial duties of that occupation by virtue of your experience, training, and in view of your restrictions and limitations. That's a pretty broad window, if you will. Now, why is that important? Now, you may have been unable to do your own occupation and be paid benefits, but now the universe of jobs has increased. Typically, a disability carrier or plan at the time the definition of disability changes is going to attempt to have your physician opine that you can either do your work that you were doing before, notwithstanding the fact that they were paying you, but more importantly, that you are capable of engaging in at least sedentary work on a full-time basis. And this is where the games begin. If your doctor doesn't say that, then of course their peer-reviewed doctors will say it. And what's happening is that disability carriers and plans are misusing this telecommuting game that employers are playing as a reason to argue that you're capable of performing sedentary work and doing any occupation because you were doing it. Most telecommuting jobs are sedentary, and they're going to argue that, while you may have been doing that sedentary work, that there is a greater range of sedentary work that you could do. And they'll come up with all sorts of different kinds of jobs that are sedentary in nature that are consistent with the kind of work you were doing while you were telecommuting. So you got to be careful of this particular game because they're going to use it as a whipsaw. They're going to say, well, you were doing sedentary work telecommuting before at your own occupation stage, and there isn't any reason why you can't do it over here in the any occupation stage. Well, what about accommodations? Many disability carriers plans or policies don't say anything about accommodation, and so it doesn't matter whether or not you really can't do this any occupation sedentary job without accommodations. So you can see the games are being played with the use of telecommuting sedentary positions and potentially the issue of accommodations. I think that it's crucial that you have your physician support your claim and, if necessary, get a functional capacity evaluation to address, in fact, your real restrictions and limitations. But at the end of the day, you really have to have the opinion of a vocational rehabilitation counselor who can evaluate the nature of telecommuting jobs that the disability carrier says you can do, look at what the skills are, determine whether or not you have any transferable skills, determine whether or not, based on your physician's opinion, that you can do a similar telecommuting type job. That's the game that they're going to play, and you've got to rebut it. Remember, if your claim is denied or terminated, you're only going to have 180 days in which to file an appeal. That appeal is the trial of your case. And in the context of this particular situation, I think, again, that there are three ways that we need to go about attacking this telecommuting argument. The first, as I said, is obtain the functional capacity evaluation. The second is to have your physician sign off on those restrictions and limitations. The third is to have that vocational opinion that ties it all together and explains why you can't do the carrier's version of sedentary telecommuting work. If your claim has been denied, benefits have been terminated, give me a call at 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation. I can help you get the disability benefits you deserve regardless of where you live in the United States, regardless of your medical condition, and regardless of who your carrier might be. 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation.